Are we live? We are live? Okay, we're live. Finally. And I like how we all have like whitish backgrounds going on. So we pop out, and all that other stuff. Amazing. First of all, thank y'all so much for being here. Welcome everyone to another live with Regine Bridges the Gap. This time around is a lot different because it is the 1 year anniversary. I am sipping on this. I am not sponsored and I'm not going to say the name. But I don't want nobody saying, well, yeah. So with that being said, again, thank you everyone. I'm going to give everyone a chance to go ahead and introduce themselves. So here's how it's going to go. You're going to say your name and you're going to say your favorite kind of food. Okay? Favorite kind of food that you've tried, not your own cultural dish. So you can't say like soul food or like Jamaican food. You got to say a dish that is not of your culture. So you're going to say your name and you're going to say what kind of food that you like, that you have tried outside of your own culture. And then we're going to move on and we're going to have a discussion and talk about all of our travels and amazing things because you're all vloggers and you all have different projects going on. So up first, we're going to go in alphabetical order. Mm-hmm. We're going to have Chipo go first. Chipo, go right ahead.
Hi, so lovely to be here. Congratulations, Regine.
Thank you.
Also, yes, my name is Chipo Kindake, and a favorite food of mine. I mean, it's one that I make all the time, and it's my afe. It's a groundnut stew. It's all over West Africa, so yeah.
Yes. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I'm a little bit of a foodie. Dani is too. So, like, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yusef,
how you make it?
Well, yeah. So I'm vegan, so I have to. It's usually made with chicken, but I make it with just veggies like root vegetables, and yeah, it's a ground nut. It's like a type of like nut that comes from Africa, but like African people in the States or in other places, like they just use peanut butter instead.
Right.
And it's just like, it's like most traditional West African dishes based in like tomato and, well, we use habaneros here and, yeah, thyme. And it's the best stew in the world. And I like to put ginger in mine too. So yeah. Nice. I grew up eating it because my mom had a Senegalese friend. And so she used to make it. And then, yeah, I got addicted.
Nice. Thank you and welcome back, Chipo.
Thank you.
All right. Dani, you are next.
Hey, everybody. I'm Dani. My favorite type of food is probably Jamaican. I like all the herbs and spices. Oxtail is something that, like, anytime I see it, I'm trying to have it. Really, I could go to any Jamaican restaurant and get pretty much anything on the menu, and I'm good to go. But yeah, the next, like, as far as like dishes go, the next thing after Jamaican food is a cottage from Bahia. That's
nice.
And you cannot get that where I live. So like,
oh yeah, that is true. You can't.
Damn.
I
like moqueca. I really love moqueca.
Yeah. I know how to make, so yeah, I love it.
I'm not gonna lie, Dani. The further away you go from Salvador, the better the moqueca gets.
You think so?
Yeah, like in Bahia specifically, obviously not Rio, but like Bahia, like in Bahia, the state, like the further in the interior you go, the better the moqueca is. I don't know what kind of witchcraft they doing over there, but I was like, yo, the rice gets better.
Wow.
Everything gets better. Like further away from like the city, even in the city, and the further you go away from like I guess like downtown and stuff like that, it's way better. The best moqueca, I'm sorry, that I've had, besides at the house, the Ile that I'm a part of, besides there, the best moqueca that I've had was in Mohoji, Sao Paulo. Yeah, and not the part where people go and like tour and stuff like that. I'm talking about we had to trek through water. We had to take a boat.
You had to take a boat. Is that what I heard
Yeah.
you say?
We had to take a boat. So it was Mohoji Sao Paulo, but further out
Yeah,
where like the houses are on the river. Like literally, it was a river house.
that sounds amazing. Great
It
experience.
was. It was like the best. Like I was like, dang, how can I fly y'all out here? Because I need you to make this for me.
Make it, girl. The first time I had a cottage was a tragedy, and
Not in
everybody was like,
tragedy.
"This is not a cottage. Don't eat that." And then when I finally got it in Brazil, I nearly cried because I was like, "What was I eating before? Like,
Before.
what was it?" And so when you say it's
Right.
really good, you never forget like that experience. So
Well, since we're talking about experiences, we're gonna definitely, and all of us have like again lived in places that are like, we don't walk down the beaten path. A lot of us, like all of us on here, none of us like walk down the beaten path. So, I want you to name an extremely memorable moment for you that you're like, this feels so surreal. So, like for me, and I'm gonna be asking everybody, for anybody tuning in, I'm gonna be asking everybody like a series of questions relating to, like Regine Bridges the Gap and traveling. Okay, so one of the most memorable moments for me throughout this year was some of the things that I feel I can only see in my dreams. You know what I'm saying? So like a memorable moment for me was definitely when I went to Salvador and I got in touch with my spirituality. I didn't even ask for it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't say, hey, where can I go to do this? Where can I go to do that? And it kind of just fell in my lap. And one of those memorable moments is definitely going to an Ile, going to like see how they dress up in all the different orishas and how beautiful it was and the connections that I made. So what was like a really memorable moment for you? It could be dance related, it could be spirituality related, and we're gonna go backwards. We're gonna go Dani, then Chipo. So go right ahead and make sure you name the location too, because although I know you, other people they don't know.
I think one of my most memorable travel experiences actually happened in the United States. And but it was related to Brazilian culture, as everything in my life seems to be. And it was at a dance festival, and Osandala Silvestri was the instructor for this particular class, and we were doing Orisha movement. We weren't,
Wow.
obviously it was all done in a folkloric spirit, at least for me anyway, it was done in a folkloric spirit, learning the movements. And I don't think I've ever felt that kind of energy in a dance class before because it was live drumming. There were at least 12 drummers just sitting across the front of the class and just killing it. And when I tell you the energy was like insane, and a couple of people melted in the middle of a dance class, and it was just kind of like I've never seen that in a dance class before. Because like I said, we're doing it in a we're doing it to learn the movements.
Yeah.
But that was probably one of the most memorable travel experiences. I don't think I've experienced anything like that even in Brazil. Like as far as like moments that just kind of are transformative and kind of it made me look at all of the things that we do totally differently in dance classes, and like I'll never forget that. That was probably the most amazing experience because we didn't even, me and my girl shared a hotel room. We didn't sleep the whole night. We were laying in the bed and she was like, "Are you awake?" I was like, "Well, I'm definitely awake." Like, I'm still awake. Just thinking about like, yo, okay, so you saw what happened over in the corner, right? Okay, so but you remember I bumped into so and so and I bumped into one of my American friends dancing and I literally felt like somebody pushed me back. And it was like, like I literally fell onto, and all I did was like bump her accidentally because you know how you're like dancing in a line, and
Uh-huh.
she girl, it was
Wow.
yeah. So that's probably one of my most memorable travel experiences. The other thing is when I got nearly held at gunpoint in a favela, but
I'm done. We gotta save that. We gotta save that for the real turmoil live.
Right.
The real turmoil, the real
Right.
shit show
Girl.
live. That's what. Thank you, Dani. Chipo, go right ahead.
Yeah, that I ain't gonna lie, that last part threw me off. I was like, but yeah, wow. I would have to say that's so interesting though that you end up having your most memorable travel experience in the United States. I actually think that's pretty cool because especially like, for people that travel, we kind of who travel who are from America, we sometimes we downplay America a little bit,
That's fact.
and what America's like geographical landscape, cultural landscape has to offer
Mm-hmm.
as well, because we are on some of our own indigenous territory as well. So anyway, let me not say too much.
No, I literally just did a TikTok on that. Like, but we could talk about that later. I'll share that video with you. I literally just made a TikTok about that. Like, literally. And it's actually, people are like writing right now. Like, I just made a TikTok about that.
That's amazing. Keep making them. But my most memorable, most surreal moment in my travel experience, there's a few, but I'll just talk about like my most recent one in Palenque, Chiapas, which is in Mexico. And that was probably like one of the most surreal moments that I felt because, it's a small town. It's a small town in Mexico, and it's an indigenous state.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful because it's like nothing but jungle and everything like that. And there I was able to see like some of the most beautiful, like, some of the most beautiful mountains, jungles, and rainforests. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I it was more than, it's hard to describe, but like the main thought that came across my mind when like traveling through these mountains or even being at the pyramids and walking through like the ruins, because like the thing about Palenque is really small. A lot of people don't go, so like when you go to these
Wait,
pyramids,
what? Palenques?
yeah, Palenque, a lot of people don't go there, so it's like in Chiapas, like it's in Chiapas. A lot of people don't go there, so it's really like special because you get to really like be there with not a lot of people. And I probably wasn't supposed to do this, but I finessed it. I like was able to be on top of a pyramid and meditate and
Wow.
go through the ruins. And I was there accompanied by like a dear friend of mine who Hugo, who is indigenous Mayan and also does a lot of healing work through his bloodline. And I think one of the most surreal moments within all of that was not just being at the pyramids and seeing these things, but also listening to him sing like his indigenous songs, because there were so many downloads happening from that. And memories, so many ancient memories. And it also felt like wow, like it just didn't feel real. Like it was like all those growing up watching all this those movies or like listening to songs, and like going on YouTube watching stuff, but then like to actually feel that in person and like in a very like intimate way with a friend, like it was intense. And it almost felt like I can't believe like I'm sitting in the middle of a jungle with like monkeys, and like my friend is like playing like singing these indigenous songs like with me or to me. So it was, yeah. And being with the pyramids and like being able to have that alone time, like, yeah, that's so far the most memorable.
Wow.
And
That sounds like,
want to say to that, because this is the thought that came across my head when I was going through those spaces. I was like, I can't believe people have the mindset of like never leaving or never traveling, because some people will not ever experience this, and to not be able to experience this is a travesty, like, you know, and that's it. Yeah.
You know, you talk about like your spiritual experience with that, but like to me, one of the things that I think a lot of people take for granted is just seeing the things that you've seen, period. Just seeing them. Not even the spiritual growth, because that comes with it. That's like the, you know, the unspoken part that we know comes with it. But there are people who have no desire to see any other part of the world other than the place that
Yo,
they come from. And like in my family, you know, they're like, why y'all always going somewhere? Because there's this big whole green, blue, and brown earth, and I want to see more of it, you know, and you don't want to see more. And I remember one of my relatives telling me, I do want to go to Canada. That's it.
yeah,
That's it. That's all. Like, that's all you aspire is to go to Canada, you know? And it was just kind of like,
it's I honestly, you know, especially where I'm at, you know, I hate to say it, tri-state people are cocky. They feel like I could go to a Mexican taco truck down the block. I could go to a Brazilian spot up the street. Why I need to go anywhere else?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that's not the same.
That's not.
I was like, they saying yo son, but okay. Like what? Like that is not like like I'm just like, how is that the same? Like
Not at all.
it's literally people from different ethnicities and nationalities speaking NY lingo. Like, can we please go somewhere that they don't talk like that? And it's like, all right, there, you know, like go and actually experience a culture, because like here, you know, we have our own culture. You know what I'm saying? We have our own culture and the way things are, but it's good to experience other people's cultures as well and see, and also step out of yourself. And this is the next question. And then we're going to go ahead and take a moment of silence for Yusef, because he was a guest on here and he's no longer with us. So, you know, but this is going into the next question before we do that. The next question is, when did you realize that we're all African American here? My mother's African American. My father is Jamaican descent, Caribbean from Jamaica. But when did you realize that you know, your own culture has set a great impact on the rest of the world? Because for me, when I went to Brazil for the first time, and I thought, you know, I heard I'm conceited, I got a reason. I was like, oh, Harlem Shake, right? No, they was doing Baile Charmy. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, hey, what's up, Sherry? Man, I don't want to say your government. Last time you said I was calling you out, so I'm not going to do that. But hey, like, so, like, I realized, like, oh, dang, like, dating a Brazilian and him saying, yeah, don't y'all do this? And I'm like, how do you know about this? For the longest, I was like, they was telling us we don't got a culture. And then I go here and everybody knows everything about my culture, almost to the point where I'm like, well, dang, like, you in my family? Did you have a like surveillance camera? Like, so when did it set in for you that like our culture, even folklore, our culture has made an impact on the world? So Chipo, you're gonna go first because we're gonna go the other way around.
Yeah, I know exactly, you know, when that happened for me. Like growing up, like you know, I've always been like a nerd, like my own little researcher and anthropologist. So like stayed in the library, like always reading and like, you know, doing my own research. And, you know, I love music a lot. So I like to call myself a self-proclaimed musicologist. I got hair in my mouth. But but yeah, I guess the moment I realized, because obviously like what I do, I'm very like deep into funk and punk music and everything, rock and all this type of things. And so as I was like delving more into, probably like when I was 16 or 17, and I was delving more into funk and more into the history of reggae music. And I started, but to realize certain things like with the timelines and, you know, specifically with reggae, and we can talk about the designers and pioneering like reggae music by Marley, you know, before there was reggae, there was ska. And it
Yep.
was a lot of Jamaicans emulating the Temptations and like emulating the sounds that we were making. And you know, also with James Brown, like a lot of people don't know this, there would be no Fela without James Brown, because with the way before reggae was created and before Afrobeat was created, all these people came to America, absorbed, and then went back inspired and created these pioneering things. And that's, you know, for me, with everything I do, that's why a lot of what I focus on is in, you know, obviously I'm not negating anything like with us being African, but focusing on like the African, which that's the word we use now, indigenous roots that we have here and how that has affected the world like in a big way. So like for me, like, you know, me being into a little music nerd, that's when I started realizing like a lot of things, you know, because before I used to think like the other way around. And then when I started getting deeper into the roots of music and even with jazz, you know, it's interesting because Afro-Cuban music affected American music a lot. But first,
Mhm.
from Louisiana got to Cuba, which is how Afro-Cuban jazz came to be, you know. And so, yeah, and I think, you know, as Americans, because a lot of, you know, as we should keep traveling, but a lot of times we forget what we have. Like, you know, we
Yeah.
always think we have to go out to find like the root, but a lot of time the source is already like within us. So those were the moments where I realized like, wow. And not to be like a pretentious American, but just, you know, just facts, like, you know, how,
No, it's facts.
and then we can go into house music and all this type of stuff, like,
Yes, because
you know.
Chipo, I literally everything you said is facts, and I wish you were on TikTok. I don't know if you are, but I made a video literally saying every single word you just said. And people were actually shocked because I used funk pasino, funk carioca, not funk from the US, as an example. And I said, because literally during my travels, I think this was last year around the time I started Regine Bridges the Gap, I interviewed one of my friends who was a pasino dancer, and literally what was the main like go to, it was James Brown. It was like a lot of our movements comes from the way he slid across the floor. And you can see it when you look at Pasino. When you look at that fast movement,
Brown is so
that sliding
powerful.
across the floor. And he was like, yeah, he said that's who it is. He was like, it's Michael Jackson and it's James Brown. He was like, that's where it comes from. He was like, Pasino became popular late 70s, early 80s. He was like, so, you know, they wasn't doing what we're doing now. They were doing stuff similar to like Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? So like I literally made a video about that, and you're so right. That everything she said, y'all, is facts. All right, Dani, go right ahead. Thank you, Chipo.
Yeah, of course.
Before I started dancing samba, I fell in love with the music. And it was mostly pagoji for me at that point. I really didn't know a whole lot of anything else. And like Chippo, when you start studying the history of music, I started going backwards. And that led me to people like Georgie Ben, Gilberto Gil, Tim Maya.
The classic.
You know, yeah. And Tim Maya, to me, his music, he had this whole era where until he started singing, I could not tell if I was listening to the Isley Brothers or if I was listening to Tim Maya. There's a whole era where him and his band emulated Ernie Ernie Isley's guitar sound, like down to the tone. There's a band called Banda Black Hue.
I know, yeah.
They are, to me, Brazil's answer to Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know, and it was like, okay, so y'all legit like they heard these sounds and were like, we're gonna do this, but we're gonna put a slight tweak on it, you know, for, you know, Brazilian audiences. And that's when I realized like we really do influence culture around the world. And I don't think people listen to, you know, the sound of Georgie Ben and think of American R&B,
They
but
don't.
that's literally where he decided he was going to blend a lot of things together.
Mhm.
So like that would, to me, I feel like my mom used to always tell me that everything you listen to from, because I was into, like salsa and merengue, and I always knew they were like
Mhm.
obviously Afro, that was like
Yeah.
a obviously the roots are African, it's part of the diaspora. I always knew that. But I guess because it felt so far away, it
Mhm.
felt like the sound came from my ancestors, not the sound came from my parents' generation. Whereas now when I listen to music, I hear, like you said, the 60s and the 70s come out in
Mhm.
music. Like now that kind of stuff jumps out at me now. But I was grown before I realized how much we as African Americans specifically influence things. I was an adult. I'm not even gonna sit here and pretend like, oh yeah, I always been on. I always, fine. I
Hmm.
singing my little Britney pop and like every other young person. But like now I can't hear music without associating it with something from the past, and a lot of times it's
Mhm.
something that the legends of blues and jazz and rock created, and somebody just took it and deconstructed it and reconstructed it for their culture to make it work, and
I
sometimes
was
they don't
grown
even do that.
too. Hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
it
I
took
also
me. It took me leaving. It took me leaving, Danny, the U.S. to realize. It took me
Wow.
leaving, to really
To put
reconnect.
it to click in your brain. Yeah. It's
Yep.
amazing how we grow up listening, we hear, obviously, like you said, we're all African American. We grew up listening to the music of our culture, of our era,
Mhm.
of our parents' era, you know what I mean? Like we grew up listening to all of that stuff, and it's amazing how it doesn't resonate until
Mhm.
how influential it is until you go somewhere else, or until you start learning about something else and you start seeing
Yep.
these symbols. It's kind of crazy because I remember hearing Georgie Ben has that song Taj Mahal.
I'll Taj Mahal.
And
Yeah.
it's still debated which one came first, Rod Stewart or Georgie Ben. That is
Oh,
still a
child,
debate.
please.
So
Really?
still a
That's
debate.
so funny.
Well, well, y'all, we are going to go ahead. Thank you so much for sharing, Danny. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do our quick, moment of silence, for our dear friend Yusef. I'm gonna try to pull his photo up here, child, because my computer is not. I don't know. My computer is not the greatest. Oh, here we go. Okay, maybe we can. There we go. We're gonna go ahead and get him up here. It's moving a little slow, but you get the gist of it. So this is Yusuf. For anybody who, I hope everybody can see him. It's loading. There we go. This is Yusuf. And we're going to go ahead. Let's see if we can expand this a little bit. I don't know.
There we
There we
go.
go. All right. Too much. Here we go. So this is Yusuf. Yusuf was a guest on my show this year literally. I think we did a launch, and he passed away due to coronavirus. Dani knew him. Kayla, who is not here right now, she couldn't be on the live, was also on the live with him as well. A great man. He was a lot. I'm not gonna lie, he was a lot, but he was our a lot. So let's just take a moment of silence to remember him and what he provided for the Black expat community. Thank you, everyone. If you have any words that you would like to say about Yusef, I know Chipo, you didn't know him, but that's okay. But if anyone wants to share any words, you definitely can.
I just want to say that I still appreciate him, what he always attempted to inspire in me. You know, he always wanted to see us grow and be our best. And, you know, there's something he would always say to me and Edric, like, and I'm sure he said it to a lot of people. The people who are doing the things that you want to do are not smarter than you. They're just doing it. And you need to go ahead and just do it. And I try to remember that all the time. People who are doing the things that I say I want to do and I'm dragging my feet about it, they're not doing it because they're smarter than me. They're doing it because they're going after what they want. And I appreciate him always pushing, and he was definitely a pusher. Like I wake up to messages. Did you do that thing? No, you didn't do it.
That was definitely him.
I miss him. There are
Me too.
moments where I still kind of be like, dang, I wish I could get his feedback on this, but I have his voice in my head. So it's good.
Well, all right. Thank y'all so much for the moment of silence. Yusef, may you rest in peace. You will always be remembered. You have left a legacy for expats all over the world. Even though he's not here, you can still learn from him. His page is still available. You can go on his page and watch his videos. The education is still there. Everything is still there. That's the thing about life and death. Your legacy will live on. That's why you have to create the path that you want, because even though you may be gone, what you created is still going to be here. And that's why I'm building Regine Bridges the Gap. So we're going to go ahead and talk about some projects that y'all are working on. This is the time to set the legacy and let people know exactly what you're doing. We're going to go backwards, the other way around. Dani again. Dani, talk about anything you're doing. You can talk about being a Musa. You can talk about whatever projects you're doing. Go right ahead.
I have a lot of stuff going on right now. So, you know, I'm prepping for Carnival, going back to Rio, as Regine said, and I will be Musa again this year. That is a large undertaking. I think I forget how large an undertaking it is every year.
You make me not, you and Shantae made me not want to be a Musa. I appreciate y'all so much because I said, yeah, I will never be a Musa. Can you tell people what a Musa is? Because you know, everybody don't know what a Musa is.
Musas are featured solo dancers / models in the Rio Carnival parades. And while you see large groups of people wearing the same costume, a Musa is usually in front of one of those groups and she's wearing a very stylized, special version of said costume.
Big feathers.
Very sexy, lots of feathers and rhinestones, and she gets camera time. And I was telling Regine, one of the things I got to get my mind right for is being able to talk on camera in Portuguese, because that happens. But yeah, you also, because you get such camera time, you want to make sure you're on top of your dance game and that your body is together. So I'm killing it in the gym lately and practicing makeup. I put on lashes for y'all today. But like I'm doing all of that, and I decided to launch a e-commerce business before I leave. So I'm working on that. Did some designs today. And then of course I had the name of that company is Posto Novi, POSTO, the number 9 brand. So I've set up my Instagram account and the website posto9brand.com.
All right.
Yeah, so like it's launching. The goal is to have everything up and running before I leave for Rio. And then of course I have my YouTube channel, which is Dani Styles, and I have a video coming out about my hair, which today is not exactly a good curl day. I just washed my hair, so it's kind of lopsided right now. I don't have the shape that I wanted to have. It's kind of got that gangster lean over here.
Not a gangster
But,
lean.
but it's like Kathy comic strip on one side.
I'm done.
I'm gonna have to work that out today, but I have a video launching probably today about what I actually do to my hair, and I got a feeling somebody's gonna ask me to actually do a demo, and I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that. So lots of things moving and doing. Musa, Carnival, Costa Novi brand, YouTube channel. It's a lot of stuff happening right now. I'm really excited about the time in my life. So
it's amazing.
Thank you, Dani, and best of luck.
Thank you.
I mean, that's a lot. The Musa job is not for the weak-hearted, which is me, and I appreciate you because you are doing it for the girls. Go ahead, Chipo, and tell us your projects, anything you're working on, and plans for the future. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, from the last time we talked, I'm still working on my project of short film, just it started off connecting the indigenous dance traditions of New Orleans, of what we like to call Black indigenous people of New Orleans, so like the second line dance, and connecting that to traditional indigenous Mexican and street style dances, because they are very similar and we are cousins or we the same, whatever. But so yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm still in research phase in that, and I have some exciting things coming up in this journey, because now I'm in the point where I'm expanding how I was viewing my film, and that's kind of like what documentary films tend to do. I kind of had it in a box, but there's more in indigenous movement that I want to explore outside of the south, the central and the southern parts of like North America. And so the next phase will be expanding to Africa, in Egypt. So it's still a lot of research going on right now. And also, like, I'm continuing the work with Film Funk. It's a platform where I highlight women who go unsung in the funk genre, and just gearing up for a lot of new projects with that, and still sharing information through social media, and also working on my own debut performance. So it's a lot of production things going on basically, and I'm trying to stay afloat. But yeah, it's been good. It's good. It's been my solar return started, so yeah, it's like a lot going on at once.
Wow.
Exciting.
Yes.
Do you have a name for your documentary?
So right now it's the migration to this. Wait, am I saying that? I feel so embarrassed now because I got this. I literally just to give myself a little grace, I literally just came up with the name of this title, and it's a working title to my project, but it's the Sacred Migration to the Feminine Body.
Wow.
So yeah, that's why I'm like a lot. Yeah, there's a lot going on with me reworking like my project, and yeah, this journey to Egypt would be kind of like opening a lot of portals in that. So
come on,
nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Come on, y'all out here killing it. Like, when was the last time we went live? Well, then we didn't go live that long ago.
Oh, and maybe I don't know, I should probably plug this in there too, because
go right ahead.
Also, the research that I'm doing is a part of a residency called the Alchemist Residency, and it's a group of people of color, and mostly, like, I would say people of the Afro experience from around the world who who study like different movements and performance based or, you know, music based practices. And, you know, we're all taking this journey together in Egypt. And there's actually a crowdfunding that's going up, I
Okay.
believe today or tomorrow. That's supposed to be supporting people who need extra financial assistance to be a part of this journey, because we're actually going through this passage and creating a performance. It's getting documented. We're all creating a performance there together. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna plug that, and then like after I'll send you links and everything.
Please do.
You can do
Yes.
whatever.
Everyone. Yes, please, and send that for sure. Thank you so much for sharing, Chipo. I'm so here for it.
Here.
So, oh my goodness, so much has like clearly changed and elevated since we all last spoke. I'll go ahead and say my project, as some of you know, I'm already working on doing a pilot for Regine Bridges the Gap as a streaming series. So with that being said, I am still currently fundraising to film in the Ivory Coast, Abidjan. I want to connect, I want to bridge the gap between twerking and Mapuka. So that's pilot. See, that's episode 1. That's the pilot episode. So, because a lot of people like to demonize twerking and all that other stuff, but in Mapuka, that's literally like a tradition, is to literally bend it over and wobble. Like, so I really want to get that pilot episode out there, and it's gonna be very interesting and very big, because we are still stuck in this mindset where twerking, gyrating, whining, all that stuff is like, you know, sexualized, the devil, etc. I literally just watched a video of, you know, who knows Ivy Queen, the reggaeton artist. Ivy Queen. Well, she was a reggaeton artist. She was a reggaeton artist, tall, light skin, had a really deep voice. She's from Puerto Rico. She literally made a song called "Latinas Don't Twerk," and I was like, "Well, dang,
oh, girl, bye!" Like I don't
they
even.
Don't.
They do, child. I
don't even want to hear the rest of what she got to say.
Listen, I saw it in Colombia, girls busting splits. I'm just over it.
Don't even get me started on Quadradinho in Rio. Like,
And not even. They be doing the most at them bailes. All them bailes I've been, they might as well have sex on the floor. Like, I was like, come on, man. Like, I was like, it's the anti-blackness and
so
moving your
anti-black.
hips and shaking and whatever. You get what I'm saying?
Her light skin. So are we saying she's like mestizo?
She's like a mestizo. Yeah, she's a white Tino. So, like, just being honest.
You out here talking like it's just me and you on the phone, right?
She's a white Tino. I'm just being honest. Like, no, listen, for those of you that follow my TikTok, you know I go live and I just be chatting. Like, but I'm dead serious. Like, she is literally a white Tino, or she's a mestizo. I don't know. The point is, I like her music, but that comment, I was like, this is so anti-black. Like, okay, granted, there's really not much of a difference between whining and twerking. The only difference between whining is you are moving your waist a lot more, and there is concentration on your waist. As someone who grew up in a Caribbean community, Caribbean family, yes, you whine your waist way more than you would make your cheeks clap. Okay, obviously, but that is also involved. Like, I grew up doing carnival. They clap cheeks on the floor. Like, it's not that much of a difference. Like, it really isn't. And I just don't like the anti-blackness in twerking. So that's why this pilot is important. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because people don't understand. They think, oh, Latinas don't twerk. Yes, y'all do.
Pretty much, it exists in a lot of cultures that don't want. Like, you ever look at Middle Eastern dancing? Come on.
I mean, but all that, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm so glad you brought that up. With all these different cultures who obviously have like traditions in these things, like all the stuff that comes up is like classism, colorism, the aftermath of colonization, because it's just like yeah, I mean, it's so funny. I had a friend. She's actually like a white girl, but she's a stripper. But it's no, but this is a good point though. She's a stripper, and her mother-in-law like spent most of her life being a belly dancer, and she looks down on strippers.
But it's the same thing.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's that kind of thing where that's why I was like, it's one is like an issue of class, and the other is like, of course, colorism and like, the effects of like colonization and like patriarchy and all that type of stuff. Because, at the end of the day, like the semantics and all the little extra details don't even matter. Like these are all sensual like dances that are important, to women, or let me rephrase that, to films and to like especially people with wombs. Like,
Yep.
these dances are important, and but it's complicated, especially like when with Latin people, even Latin people who are white, because there, as I said, yeah, it's a difference. It's all in the Americas specifically. It's all the effect of slavery, like, and a lot of people have sexual traumas. So, and that's where a lot of that generational sexual traumas. And so that's where, a lot of the reservedness or the
conservative,
strong reaction to that, because it's just like, reacting to memories, to not so great memories, like,
the memories of not having agency of your own body.
Yep.
Exactly. Thank you. Exactly.
And yeah. And there's so many moments where I feel like you call them blood memories or ancestral memories.
Blood memory.
Like
yep.
I remember, and it still exists in me today, where if I'm in a space where I'm the token negress, I'm not dancing.
Yeah.
I'm not dancing because psychologically I feel that gaze and it makes me uncomfortable, because now I feel like my body has become this whole, it becomes a thing other than me. And
yep.
I don't want, so, we do need to educate people on where these movements come from, why they are important, not just why they're important because they're our history, but why they're important because they have meaning. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And of course, as cultures develop, there's going to be, modifications made, or whatever you want.
Vibration, low vibration things. Yeah.
That happens as well. And so I just feel like all of that kind of stuff is so important to that people be educated on it. And I hope that you guys continue to do that. That's like the work that you guys are doing. That's really dope that you guys.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. Like I already can see it. Like, seriously, I'm proud of you all. And I seriously thank you all for being on this live with me. We do have to end because I do teach class. Not that I don't like my kids. I love my kids. I just have to go teach. So thank you guys so much for being on here with me. And like, again, I would love to have you all back on the live again. This is year number 1 for many more years to come. With our projects and everything that's going on, and continue to bridge the gap. I chose you all because I feel like you're bridging the gap in some form of way. I mean, I think that you are, or if you do, you obviously you do. But however, you are bridging the gap, and that's why you're on this show, because I see you bridging the gap, whichever way that you do it. Thank you so much, y'all. Any closing words before I close this live out?
Just congratulations to you, and keep up the great work that you are doing. And I look forward to seeing you over in the Ivory Coast.
March 2022.
Woo woo.
Amazing. Yes. Thank you so much for having us and doing the work that you're doing. I'm so excited to see like all your projects and your visions come to fruition. And, I'm so dope to find out that you're a Musa. All those things that we're all doing is very healing, generational, and
yes,
vibrates and echoes out to the world. And, it's beautiful. I'm so happy to have shared this conversation with y'all.
Me too.
Yes. So y'all make sure, for those that stayed all the way to the end, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you follow and support these beautiful women in the projects and their endeavors. And it's very important to support Black business. Black Friday is coming up. I really wanted this to air on Black Friday so that y'all can support it. But hey, it is what it is. You'll see it on Black Friday because I'm gonna reshare it. So with that being said, this Black Friday is coming up. Support, donate, whatever you can. And until next time, I'm Regine Bridges the Gap. Bye bye, everyone. Take care and have a happy holiday.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.